And on this Friday, March 14th, 2025 edition of Newsmakers, a group of anti-Israel protesters were arrested after flooding Trump Tower in New York City yesterday. They were calling for the release of activist and former Columbia student Mahmoud Khalil, who was arrested last weekend. Video shows at least 100 people from the pro-Palestinian group Jewish Voice for Peace crowded in the dining area of the building. President Trump says Khalil is a terrorist sympathizer and should be deported because of his pro-Hamas activities. The federal task force to combat anti-Semitism wants to meet with Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass. The task force is looking into the city's response to alleged incidents of anti-Semitism on college campuses in the city. The task force informed Bass that it wants to talk with city leadership, district attorneys, and law enforcement over allegations that local universities have failed to protect Jewish students from discrimination. The task force also wants meetings with mayors of other big cities. There's no comment from Bass's office. Washington Schools Superintendent is telling districts to follow state law instead of President Trump's executive order banning transgender athletes in women's sports.
It's grounded in a real humane policy of student gender identity. It's grounded in laws in this state and non-discrimination laws that make it very, very clear.
Chris Reichdahl says the president's executive order is not law and has been stopped in court until there's a trial. The Meade School District in the Spokane area has asked the federal government for clarification on whether they should follow state or federal law. Texas Governor Greg Abbott is calling for an investigation of some educators at a Houston high school. The Texas Education Agency is looking into whether the teachers, quote, inappropriately socially transitioned a student against the wishes of the student's mother. Abbott denounced efforts on the part of schools to push children further into gender dysphoria. The governor has declared that Texas recognizes only two sexes, male and female, and says any teacher who talks about gender transitioning with a student should be fired. Chloe Cole, who describes herself as a former trans kid, spoke yesterday at Grand Valley State University in Michigan. Her speech focused on preventing minors from having a medical transition to the opposite gender, as she started at 13 to change and then detransitioned at 16.
Everybody who is experiencing these feelings of distress around their body and their sex, who have this trauma that has led to them feeling this way, they deserve grace, they deserve compassion. But I don't think that looks like lying to them about who they fundamentally are, or that they can become something that they never will be.
The GVSU chapter of Turning Point USA brought Cole in to speak with President Adriana LaRue, saying the university encourages free speech and they want to bring other voices to the conversation. A number of students protested, including GVSU senior Zach Telley, who called Cole's speech dehumanizing and said it was hurtful to see.
I hate seeing that it's here at Grand Valley because I have always thought of this as a real safe place, and that kind of at least hinders my feeling of safeness, and I'm not even a transgender individual.
But Chloe Cole says she is not anti-transgender.
I have plenty of friends who identify as transgender, and while I might personally disagree with their life choices, I love them the way that they are, and I still consider them my brothers and sisters.
More than 50 universities are being investigated for alleged racial discrimination as part of President Trump's campaign to end diversity, equity, and inclusion programs, as officials say exclude white and Asian American students. The Education Department announced the new investigations today, a month after issuing a memo warning schools and colleges they could lose federal money over race-based preferences in admissions, scholarships, or any aspect of student life. Most of the inquiries focus on colleges' partnerships with a PhD project, a nonprofit that helps students from underrepresented groups get degrees in business. The PhD project hasn't responded to a message seeking comment. And that's Newsmakers for this Friday, March 14th, 2025 edition. I'm Keith Black.